Hey guys, it is Wednesday. We're going to start a little bit early today because Landon has a doctor's appointment that I have to go to by 10. So I'm going to burn through this workshop really fast. If you've already registered, perfect. You will have gotten the workbook that you can go through after this. It gives you a little bit of a script so you can know what questions you're going to ask when you do these interviews. Waffles is barking as usual. And then after this, I'm going to actually send the slide deck over to whoever did register. So no matter when you are watching this workshop, this is going to be on my Facebook page and I probably on YouTube forever. I'm not going to take this down. This isn't something that's going to be time sensitive. So I want everyone to be able to refer back to this whenever they need to. So if you're watching this later and you still haven't registered and want the workbook and want the slide deck, you can still sign up for the workshop. There's a link. I'll put a link in the copy of this broadcast so you can get there very easily. There's an opt-in, you get your email, and then I'll send you all this stuff no matter when you are watching it. So that's kind of a win, right? I really want to start doing these workshops every Wednesday. So if you guys do have questions and you're like, I need you to walk me through something, I think next week we're going to do a workshop on my setup here, doing this live, just kind of showing you all the pieces. Again, I've done this once, but I think really just more in-depth, this is how you do a live broadcast, might be helpful. So that's what's coming up, I think, next week. But for anyone else, if you guys want me to go in depth about anything else that you guys are having problems with, or you guys want to learn how to do something that's small, like having one of these meetings, let me know and I'll make it happen on these Wednesday workshops. So I'm going to jump in. Hey, Shelly, so glad that you're here. This week I've really I'm kind of basing the themes of my weekly content really on what we're diving in the Instagram intensive course. I just closed the cart on that course. So those of you that are signed up like Shelly, welcome. I'm so glad. But really this first week is about doing the research, doing the prep work ahead of time before you do your content. And so I want to take these little actionable pieces because there's so many pieces to that puzzle. And just saying it to people, I feel like I maybe make it seem a little bit easier than it really is. I know for myself, my personal experience, when I was starting to do these interviews, Zoom and like Skype and like all of these other ways you can talk to people, it really was intimidating for me. I don't know why. It was like the tech thing. And for me, really, like I'm a fast learner, but getting to the point of like getting over the anxiety of using some of these tools, I really do let it hold me back a lot of times, and I don't want that to happen to you. I want to show you like the easy way, and by no means am I a Zoom expert. I do not want to sit here and pretend like I know how to do all of the things. I like to learn just what I need to know, get through it, and then use it how I've figured it out for a while. And then when I want to level up on a tool or an app or a system, I will then go more in depth. But for now, I just want to get you guys going on these. And I really do think that doing this research and actually having these conversations are going to be a really big help to you. So I want to just empower you to get these done, get these recorded, and then move forward with it. So I'm going to jump over to the slide deck so we can kind of go through in order. And then I will show you a screencast of me actually doing all the things, like putting together all the pieces. But for the workbook, if you guys have your workbook already, you know the tools that we're going to be using today. Those tools are Zoom, like I talked about. You can find the link on the workbook. It's zoom.us, I believe. You're going to need a YouTube account. And so to get a YouTube account, if you do not have one yet, you sign up for a Google account, and then you can sign up for a YouTube account. So before you jump into this tutorial, this workshop, you really need to have those things. And then when you have that Google account, you should have Google Drive. And in Google Drive is Google Docs. It's an app within Google Drive. And again, Google's free, so these are all great free resources. Zoom was free. You can sign up for a subscription, but I haven't. I just use it for free. So you can look up all the details of that if you want, but you definitely need Zoom. You definitely need YouTube to do all of these steps. And I recommend, like I use Calendly to do my appointment scheduling. So you don't have to get that fancy. That's kind of a bonus. But if you want someone to kind of pick their date to talk to you on a calendar because you're setting up multiple meetings like this for the research, that might be something you can try. Calendly is free to sign up, but I do have the paid version of Calendly, and it's $20 a month, I believe. And it's worth every penny for me. I really love it. So you can use something like Acuity scheduling if you want, or if you want to just do all of your scheduling by hand, feel free to do that. You can use Google Calendar and you can put it in there. I just like people selecting their own times and dates and have it be just a little bit more automated. So I use Calendly for that. But you don't have to. You can just DM people or email people and say, when do you want to talk? You can write it in your Google Calendar and then it can be set. Just remember to do that and remember to remind people. So I'm going to jump over to the slide deck right now. Let me move over. Okay, so I'm going to go to page 1 of this and we're going to play. Okay, number 1, Wednesday workshop, research calls. Why do we need to do this market research? Well, we're going to actually get real feedback-based account of the people we want to reach the most. Everyone skips over this, I feel like. You just jump in and you start putting out content, and that's fine. I mean, you can do that, but before we create a really big plan, I really want you guys to get actual data to back up. We don't want to guess, because if you guess, you might be going a completely different direction than what you should be going. And I don't want you guys to do that. I want you guys to make the most impact, because all of you are spending so much time on this. I have made it very clear, when you're doing this Instagram stuff, it is a lot of work. It is not just something that is easy, even for me. And I've been doing this like intentionally for about 18 months. And even now, it still takes time. I'm faster than the average person, for sure, but it's still a lot of work, and I don't want you to put this much time and effort and work into something and not get the best results you possibly can. So this is going to give you the best results possible, is to actually have these conversations and have them tell you what they want to see. How do us normal people do market research? Because by having these real life conversations with real life people. I think we forget as a whole that there are people behind all of this, right? It's not just data. It's not just a following number. It's not just 10K, right? It's not just this number. These are real people. These are actual human beings that are just like you and I. They are living, breathing. They have a very defined amount of attention to spend in certain places. And if we want to have a piece of that attention, we're going to have to actually get out there and have these real conversations. Right? We can't just be all in our own heads and just say, I bet my ideal client wants to see this from me, because we have no freaking idea, right? You have to actually ask. Ask. Aren't there other ways? For sure. And I will be the first to say that I am an introvert. These are not easy for me. This is actually one of the hardest things that I learned, is to actually have these conversations, because I would rather do the digging by myself at 3 a.m. and look up the Facebook audience insights and do all of that sneaky stuff and stalk people and go through their feed and see what they're liking and posting. And you can do that. I'm not saying you can't. Of course you can do the other things, but the best way is going to actually be talking to people face to face. And I'm going to explain why. Especially doing these recorded conversations. And one of the biggest people that introduced me to this concept is Amy Porterfield. I took her course, Courses That Convert. I signed up, purchased on the very first webinar that she ever released on it, because I knew I wanted to start doing courses, and it was really intimidating for me. And so I bought her course and I dove right in, and I was so bummed to see that the very first thing that she talked about in her course, her very first lesson, was doing these calls to verify whether these people actually want the course that you're going to create. And it literally made me not even go forward with the course for another 6 weeks probably. I was like, oh, I so don't want to do this. This is going to be the least fun thing ever. Can't I just skip over this and start creating the course? And when I actually went back and did it and listened to the recording, I was like, of course, because you know how much freaking work goes into making a course? A crap load. It's so much work. There's so many pieces to the puzzle. There's so many things that you could share. And I feel like even the Instagram intensive, I pared back a lot of information, and there's still so much information. So much went into creating that thing. And if I didn't have those conversations ahead of time, I could have put so much more content that would be in there that wouldn't be helpful for people. And of course, anyone that's creating something like a course or a training or anything, you want your students or your audience to have the best outcomes. The whole point of people buying a course is for them to get results, not for you just to make a few extra dollars. It's for them to actually get results from what you're sharing. So that's the end goal for any educator. And so if you start with what people need from you and want to see from you, you're going to have a much easier time creating these things. And, I'm talking about doing the course, but of course this also means Instagram. Again, this takes time, and so we want to make the most of that time that we're spending. So where do we start? Now, this is not something that Amy Porterfield talked about, but I really believe that if you start by, number one, thinking of who you want to work with, and then creating a list of these people, and before you reach out to them and say, hey, can I have a meeting with you? Spend a little bit of time actually engaging with them so they know who you are. They have a little bit of context to who you are and what your conversation is going to be about. So I recommend, number one, making sure you're following them on Instagram. Number two, you're following them in other places. So wherever else they're putting out content or they're sharing things, especially their personal Facebook page, this is key because that will really tell you the things that they want to share with other people in their personal lives, what they're really spending their attention on. So make sure you're, doing your smart stalking, basically. If you want these people's feedback, you need to show them that you're actually invested in them as human beings. So start engaging with them, and you can do this however long you want. I recommend like 7 to 10 days maybe of liking their stuff, leaving comments, liking their Instagram stories, replying to those Instagram stories and DMing them, following them on Facebook, liking them, doing all that stuff. So you're on their radar before you do this pitch. So you're not just a sea of people trying to get in touch with them, especially if there's someone who's maybe like business to business and they're busy. I would probably be more apt to respond to an email from someone that I see on my content all the time than someone who I've never seen before and is just like, hey, you want to do this Q&A session on my Facebook page? And if I know you ahead of time, I'm way more likely to say yes. And of course, I'm also more likely to give you my best feedback, my honest opinion for someone I feel like who's a friend, rather than someone who's just cold reaching out to me that I have no idea who you are. Who do we pick? Now, this one's tricky, and this is actually so timely because I just had an assessment call with a person yesterday in a network marketing company, and I told her, when you create content, you get to decide who you want to work with. And this is not necessarily who's going to make you the most money. Now, I've talked about my other client, Wood Creations Furniture, and they have a furniture store, and there's so many different types of people that come in that store that we really had to sit down and say, who are we going to create content for? This doesn't mean we don't sell to everyone. Anyone can come in and purchase things from this company, but we need to create email campaigns and Instagram posts and Facebook posts and a website. And if we're going to do those things, we want to do them that's going to attract the person that's going to make the most impact in the store. Who are those people? Probably people that have families, probably people that have disposable income and are married. The people that are going to spend the most money is going to be people that are purchasing new homes and having to buy more furniture, so they probably have kids to purchase for. So we're thinking it's probably going to be people in the age range of 35 to 44-year-olds because those are the people that have all of those elements that we want to work with more. So for them, it was about the money. It was about the income and what can make the most impact and who's going to buy the biggest price point in their store, but that's not necessarily true for every single person. For you might have a, for the client I talked about yesterday, you might have a cause that you're really passionate about. Maybe you had a family member that went through a hard time with either cancer or heart disease or diabetes, and you want to work with more people like that to help impact their lives. Or maybe you had a child that was ill or injured, and you feel really passionate about that cause, so you want to work with people like that. Or you might want to work with women entrepreneurs because you are that and you want to help those women because you know what it's like to go through. You get to choose whatever is important to you. Right now, that's who you can tailor your content towards. So when you decide who you want to work with the most, then you start making the list, right? That's how we start getting to that point in the lesson. Okay, and so we have our chat. I'm going to show you after this keynote what that looks like. But after the conversation, we can't just have these conversations and sit on that data. I feel like when I did these for my Instagram course, I did that. I sat on my data. I didn't really use what I learned for a little while until I actually went back and revisited those conversations. And I didn't do the smart thing and record these calls at that point. And I wish I would have, and I'll tell you why as we record. So we take the words our ideal client used and we create the content around that. And that's why it's so great to do those recordings, because you can actually download the words that they say onto a text document and use that in your copy. Right? If people are saying that they want to learn more about something specific because they're having a struggle with this thing, when you create your post, you can say, for those of you that struggle with time management, here's some ideas. And you know they struggle with that because those are the actual words they say, right? They didn't say productivity. They didn't say maximizing time worked. They said time management. And so you know that that is something that when they see that written down in your Instagram copy or whatever else you're doing, that's going to resonate with them because those are the words they used. How often do we need to revisit this? You should probably revisit these. I wouldn't say any more often than every quarter, but I wouldn't do it any longer than a year. Anytime your goals or your ideal clients change. And for me, sometimes they change kind of often. Sometimes I'm really promoting a certain course, like I just promoted the Instagram Intensive, and so those are people that are using Instagram for their business. But in a little while, I'm going to start promoting the Seller Society course that we have, and those are digital product sales. So I'm going to be talking to a very different audience at that point. And so maybe I want to do some work ahead of time, talking with people that are interested in starting digital product shops and see what kind of content I need to create for them on Instagram and wherever else I'm putting out content, so I can really base all of my stuff around that. All of our marketing is integrated. We want all the pieces of the puzzle to fit together wherever anyone is experiencing us, right? Whether that's a podcast, a blog, Facebook, email campaigns, all of those things, when they work together, it's going to make the most impact for people. So anytime your goals are changing, or you're like, you know, the clients that I've been working with lately, I don't love, I want to go back to doing this. If that changes, then you need to revisit this whole strategy. So I'm going to, and that's it. That's it for the keynote. So thanks for joining us. I'm going to exit out of here. I'm going to go back. Okay, good. Yay, Dee's here. How's it going? The topic is creating, if you are still here, Dee, the topic is creating research calls on Zoom so we can get feedback from our audience before we start creating content. So let me go back to the, we're here. Can you see me? Okay, so after you learned all of that from the keynote, learning why we're actually doing this and how we're going to do it, you guys have the workbook, and I do break it down step by step of all the pieces to the puzzle, but I'm going to show you what that actually looks like in Zoom, in YouTube, in Google Docs, all of those things. So I'm going to go back to screen sharing. Here we go. Now let me open up Zoom. Let me put that away. Okay, so Zoom, when you open up the app, this is the app that looks like. You're going to pop this open and you're going to start with video. So, join by computer is what you're going to hit, and you can start talking. So when you record the conversation, make sure you're hitting this button right here. You can invite people to it here. So if you're having these calls, you're obviously going to need their email, and you need to invite them here. You can send them a Gmail invite. And then once you're starting to chat, you can hit record, just like I'm doing right now. This will record in your documents folder usually. So pretend I'm talking to somebody, we're having these conversations, I'm asking them the questions, and in your workbook, those questions are there, and I will go over those questions at the end. So once we're done recording, stop recording, and then we're going to end the meeting, end meeting for all. So now we're here, we have to convert it. So while it's converting, I'm going to show you YouTube. This is youtube.com, so you have to make sure that you have a YouTube account already. You're going to hit this upload button. And I like to do unlisted or private. You could do either one. And when you upload, let me see, documents, Zoom, I think this is today, right? Pretty sure this is the correct one. Even if it's not, that's okay. So we're going to open it up, and it's going to load into YouTube. Since this is a short one, you can title it whatever you want. You can say research interview, not video, and then put the person's name. So once it's done, you're going to hit done, and I'll show you where to download the transcripts. Now, in the meantime, you're going to want to open Google Drive. You can find here. You can do new and document. So we have our Word document ready to go. Once this is done processing, we'll get moving. And let me go right now, since we're waiting. The workbook, this is what it looks like, and you're going to have all the different tools, but my favorite part is the questions to ask. It's 2 pages, and I have just a few of these questions listed out. You want to talk to them about, where do you spend your most time online? How many times per day are you on Instagram? Who are the top 3 people or brands that you follow on Instagram? There's a lot of different questions. Like I said, there's 2 pages at the end. So if you get all of this feedback from them, that will really help you tailor your content. Come on, man. It's taking forever. Okay, so let's just pretend that it's done. I'm going to find a different video. Creator Studio. leave. Let's say it's this video that was the interview. Now I'm going to show you guys right here. Let's see here. Oh wait, no, that's not right, sorry. Let me go back to my channel. View channel. Sorry guys, YouTube is not super intuitive to me. So let's pretend this right here is the video we just uploaded. These 3 dots, open transcript. Now this is the transcript window. You can go here, you can copy all of these words that the both of you are going to be speaking at. It's going to be a long transcript if it's an interview. You can come here and you can paste all of that information. Oops, once I copy it. Oh, perfect, it went. So now you have these words, and yes, there's timestamps on all of them, so it's going to be kind of a pain to go through, but you at least have all of this text, and you can literally just copy and paste this, and when you're creating your content, either in Grum or wherever it is that you schedule your content for Instagram, and again, if you're not doing Instagram, if you're doing a blog post, if you're doing a sales page, whatever it is you're creating, at least you have the words and the terminology that they're using, and then you can just go in here, and when you're scheduling your content, you can just paste it in the captions. So it's really, really handy, and you're not reinventing the wheel. You're not just starting from complete scratch when you're creating content for these people. So let's say this is what I'm creating. I can just go in and start with the words that they're saying, and I can then edit and make those changes and schedule these posts. So now that we're done with that, let me go back to me. And that's it. That's a quick and dirty way. You guys see a little bit of a preview of how this whole thing works. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a good start, right? It's a good way to get this going. If you're stuck, if you don't know where to start with the conversations with real people and start making the things that they ask you to make. It's simple as that. It's really easy. You don't have to sit at home guessing and then put all this work into something that isn't going to work. So if you guys have any questions about this, let me know. If you still want the workbook and you want the slide deck after this, feel free to sign up. I'm going to put it in the captions below, like I said, so you can sign up at any time and you can get access to all of this stuff. I will see you guys tomorrow here on this Facebook page.